Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. It's been a pretty good week, and I've already heard through the grapevine that I did pretty good in the predictions compared to you, Smokey. So maybe enlighten me on the exact results.
Yeah, well, thanks for gloating about it. But I had 7 correct last week, which is a down number for me compared to what I had been doing. Still above 500, so I don't feel too bad about it. You had 11, one of your best weeks so far.
That's good. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
win by 4. That is huge. Yeah, absolutely.
Brings the total for me 45.5, and for you 51.5. So you are now 6 points ahead of me.
Sounds good.
But
what do we bet again? What do we bet on the season? Did we bet anything?
I don't think we laid any stakes on the line.
Yeah, I think we didn't. We should have for sure. I think we didn't. Yeah. So that Monday Night Football game definitely helped me out. But what was the other matchups that I got?
I had the Titans and you had the Bills.
All right.
You had the Panthers. I had the Jags, which the Jags should have won that.
Can't pick against Kyle Allen.
I didn't think you could pick against Gardner Minshew, but the kid's still balling out though. Gardner is amazing, right?
He is, yeah. We'll see. Well, he's got the Saints this week, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. You know what?
It's going to be a handful.
Couple of surprises. We both had the Bears, which who saw that coming?
We did. I mean, that is a surprise. I mean, I did not expect that.
Mm-hmm.
If someone told me the Raiders had a winning record at any time during the season, I would not have believed it.
Yeah.
I was convinced they were going to be the most dysfunctional team in the AFC.
Well, you know, it was brilliant what Gruden did there. He found a way to take Khalil Mack out of the equation, and he did it.
He did.
That's true. And he had some help from a very good offensive line. Those guys are much better than I thought they were going to be this season. But he figured out that if you run 3 tight end sets, 2 running backs, and you just pound the ball over and over again, Khalil Mack never has a chance to get to your quarterback.
That's true, yeah. I think he probably just ran the jumbo sets by accident, because that's what he does, for like 20 years ago, and it just happened to work against that defense. Like, I don't know.
This was all by accident.
But yeah, definitely, that's not something, I gotta say this honestly, not something I would have expected John Gruden to be able to do.
I did not either.
These days, NFL. I thought he was going to get chewed up by that defense, and apparently he didn't. So, good job on him there, but we'll see how we can still continue to do that, because that division is still contested for not the win, but the second spot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into week 6 though. How about it? So we have Thursday night, and this is there's an interesting storyline to this one, but Giants at Patriots.
Well, I can't bet against the Pats. I mean, it's so far, have they had a tough matchup? Well, I guess the Bills, you could say.
Not really.
Other than that, this is like playing college ball here. You know, they've just had cupcake teams the entire season, except for the Bills, which, I guess you could say the Bills have a SEC defense. But other than that,
would it change your mind if Eli Manning started?
to go with the Giants?
Yeah.
No. I would.
He's the one guy.
Well, I didn't even think about it that way. I mean,
he's the one guy who could do it.
He's the guy that beat the Pats twice in the Super Bowl. So, I think he's done. He's noodle arm. He's over.
Yeah, I would love to see that happen. By the way, if they actually were superstitious enough to trot him out there, start Eli Manning one last time because against the Patriots, and then watch him win. That would be the best end to anyone's career ever.
It would, yeah. If that was just his swan song right there, that would be amazing.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to be realistic here. That's how you make points. Not going to happen. I'm picking the Patriots. Daniel Jones is going to start. It's going to be maybe a bit closer than we think, but the Giants' defense is just too bad. The Patriots' defense is too good.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots should take it. Panthers and Buccaneers, divisional, very important.
Well, I want to believe that this Bucs offense is for real with Bruce Arians behind it. And I think it will be. I think they're putting it together. But they haven't quite gotten it together yet. And Kyle Allen is still holding steady. You know, he's not lighting the world on fire, but he is holding the status quo to where it needs to be for the Panthers until Cam can get back. So I'm going with the Panthers on the road.
Kyle Allen undefeated as a starter, doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Gonna go with the Panthers also to get their win back here. Buccaneers offense, we've seen that game at LA. They can be explosive. They can make big things happen, but a large or a big issue with that offense is just the inconsistency. You had Mike Evans having 3 targets and 0 receptions against New Orleans this weekend. That's not gonna cut it. So you gotta have a good performance. I'm gonna think the Panthers will get it back here and establish that second spot in that division. And the Buccaneers will ultimately be out of the playoff race by like mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles and the Vikings.
Eagles and the Vikings. This is really tough because the Eagles have been playing exceptionally well. The Vikings look like they put it together this week, and their defense is still doing well, and the Vikings are at home, so that made it really tough to pick here. And it's almost a toss-up to me. I don't know what Vegas has the line at right now, but I'm going with the Vikings at home.
It's a toss-up to you almost?
Yeah, because we saw, the Vikings do have a great defense. And the Eagles defense has not been holding up. They've been letting people score on left or right, especially to the ex-receivers or just catching balls downfield all over the Eagles. We saw Adam Thielen get going in this game. He went and complained publicly, so Kirk Cousins decided to throw him the ball to appease his feelings. And it worked. The Vikings seemed to be...
It worked for a game.
It did.
The same way that it worked in week 4, by the way. Vikings so far, classic pattern of light on and light off. They good one week, they're terrible the other week. Week 4 they were great. Adam Thielen was great. Week 5 nothing happened. We know what happened. Week 6 they did it again. Week 7 Philadelphia, they're going down. Eagles winning this. Eagles are smelling blood right now because the Cowboys are not what a lot of people thought they were after playing a lollipop schedule, cotton candy schedule first 3 weeks, and still are playing that, by the way. They're going to win this weekend. They still have a couple easy games going, but the Eagles, to me, still are favored to win that division, and I think they're the best team in that division. And to me, they're going to take it, and that's going to start with the win against the Vikings on the road. Carson Wentz is a top 5 quarterback, and he's finding to his form.
Oh, I agree with that.
I think he's going to win this. I think it's going to be a signature game. He's going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about this one? Oh, yeah?
No, go ahead.
I was going to go with the next game. So, Redskins and the Dolphins.
Something amazing could happen in this game. And that being, one of these teams might win a damn game. And
someone might have to.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, they could just get together before this game and say, you know what, we both really want to lose really badly.
Yeah, we'll just tie.
Yeah, that could happen. We could see
take a knee every play,
a 2-2 game or something like that. But other than that, if the Skins want to win, Jay Gruden, the brother that can't win games, is gone now. The Dolphins are tanking harder than anyone I've ever seen tank before, so even though they're at home, I'm going to go with the Skins on the road.
Well, the Redskins right now have a worse record than the Dolphins. So,
Dolphins only because the bye week.
But yeah, it's going to be. I think I'm going to agree with you. It's going to be that sort of scenario when any sort of revolution leads to some kind of spur, like the Daniel Jones. You got a new starting quarterback and you get a new head coach. The next game they're gonna play better than they're supposed to play. They're gonna probably win. And how petty is it though to release your most winningest head coach of the last 20 years, like a week before you play the Dolphins this year?
Yeah, this could have been his get right game, guys.
Yeah, because this is gonna be. I mean, I get the whole idea. You're gonna bring in your new guy. You're gonna start Dwayne Haskins, and you're gonna try and set a positive tone there with the win against Miami. I get it. To me, Jay Gruden, by the way, the least of the problem in the entire organization. But that's a topic for later. I don't think they're helping themselves here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick the Redskins. I think they'll probably win it. But I wouldn't be surprised if this game is not necessarily fantastic. I really have no desire of watching it. If Josh Rosen wants to show up, though, this is a game to do it. So
yeah,
go win a game. You don't want Tua in the house next year. Go win a game or two, and this is one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So this one's gonna be good. All right, Texans and the Chiefs.
Man, Chiefs are not invincible. We found that out this weekend.
They're not.
And so 2 of my favorite quarterbacks in the league are going to go at it. And the Chiefs are at home. I think the Chiefs are going to be pissed that they lost that game to the Colts. And it wasn't a spectacular game, but it was a hard-fought, really good game. I liked it, even without the big scores. That being said, I think the Chiefs are going to be pissed off, and they're going to run it back, take this win at home over the Texans, even though this could be a scoring fest when it comes down to it.
It definitely could be. Gonna go with the Chiefs as well. Would be more interesting if the quarterbacks in this game were on the same level, which they're clearly not. Patrick Mahomes is obviously much better than anyone else.
No, they're clearly on the same level, by the way.
Oh, they're clearly not on the same level. How many pressures did Deshaun Watson face?
Hey, well
how often did he get sacked?
I underestimated just how bad that defense is. Atlanta's defense is on par with the Dolphins' defense.
It's not doing good. It's not doing good. But man, Laramie Tunsil is doing work. The Texans' offensive line is by no means great, but it's also not terrible. But gonna go with the Chiefs anyway.
And Deshaun Watson put up 50 points in that game. Well, not by himself, but obviously he balled out, and he tore that defense to shreds. Which they were already partly torn to shreds before that game, but
he's really good. He's really good. Don't get me wrong. I've never said that Deshaun Watson isn't great. Like in an NFL without Patrick Mahomes, he's a serious MVP candidate.
Yeah,
but he's not playing in the NFL without Patrick Mahomes. He's playing in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes. He's gonna get to meet. He's gonna get to meet him. So Chiefs at home.
Don't hear what I'm not saying. Because I'm not saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes.
No, but you're saying they're all on the same level or in the same tier.
In the same tier, yeah. He might not quite be on that level, but he's in the same tier. Yes, definitely.
Nah, that would have to be very, very broad tiers.
Get back with me after this game.
Okay, we'll get back to that after the season, or in 5 years or 10. But yeah, so Saints at the Jaguars.
I'm sorry, you broke up really badly there.
Saints and Jaguars.
Saints and Jags. You know what? I really believe in Gardner Minshew being at home, but Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints look like monsters the other day. And the way they're playing right now, Michael Thomas is my hero. He's my spirit animal, as the kids say. I'm going with the Saints on the road. I want to see Gardner Minshew win, and I want to see the Saints lose deep down inside, but it's amazing what they're doing without Drew Brees right now. So, going with the Saints.
Well, the Jaguars are known for having a great atmosphere, and they have the swimming pool and everything set up, the whirlpool in the stadium, in the fan side. But and get this, I think the fans in that swimming pool will experience a bridge over troubled water this weekend because the Saints are not going to be stopped. I set that up for wait. I wrote that down, set it up. It's perfect.
Yeah.
They're not going to be stopped. Saints have been looking great, and they're on pace to not lose a game without Drew Brees, and on pace to be the best team in the NFC. Saints over the Jaguars. I like Gardner Minshew. I think the Jaguars are absolutely in that division with the Texans and anyone else really, but no, Saints to take it easily.
Yes.
Seahawks and the Browns.
Well, I wanted to believe in the Browns. I really did. I did. I thought they were going to put it together. Maybe there's just too many attitudes on one team. Maybe they can't work together. There's a comparison that's starting to be drawn up between a Baker Mayfield and a former Browns number one pick.
Yeah, I got burned for that exact comparison, so I'm kind of cautious with that.
Well, it's
I made it in like a
around
semi-jokingly manner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna distance myself from what you just said publicly. I don't think that Baker Mayfield is to be compared to Johnny Manziel, though I do agree that Baker Mayfield, in its own right, in his own sort of sphere, is vastly overrated when he came out of college. He was vastly overhyped and overpicked, and still to this day is in the NFL. That's what I'm going to say to that.
Mm-hmm. I agree, but yeah, I think he has been so far a touch better than Johnny Manziel played for the Browns.
Oh yeah, he's quite a lot better as a player. I mean, he's more consistent. Johnny Manziel obviously had a lot more off-field stuff going on and the whole mental health stuff. So Johnny Manziel was never a pro at all. Baker Mayfield can be a pro. He's not behaving like one, but he can be a professional.
Yeah, I agree fully. So I'm going with
so you're picking the Seahawks
on the road.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Gonna go with the same. Pick. Just a quick side note: Baker Mayfield would have had a better game if he didn't even compete against the 49ers on Monday Night Football, and I mean that literally. If he went out and spiked the ball every single down, he would have had a better pass rating than what he ended up putting on the board.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not something that you can continue with. And also, Odell Beckham was the second best quarterback in this game.
Yeah. How about that return?
Oof, yeah. Who taught him to carry the football? That was
exactly
gruesome.
Horrible.
But the game was over anyway. But that was not good.
Yeah.
I can't pick the Browns. If it had been a close game on Monday night, had they scored like a functioning offense, had they scored 20 points, and gotten in a rhythm and lost a close game, that's okay. I can see them being competitive this week. The way that they showed up. Right now, no dice. They're going back to Cleveland. Obviously, Seahawks coming to town. Seahawks are 4-1. They're looking good. Russell Wilson is much, much better.
Yes.
And the Seahawks should take this. The Browns are sort of imploding under their own characters. They got too much drama going on. From handshake gate and flag gate and God knows what. And Odell Beckham might want to be traded. And can't pick the Browns. I think they got a lot of stuff to be sorted out before.
Oh yeah.
Before they are going to be competitive there. Bengals and Ravens.
Well, there's not much to say about this other than the Ravens are clearly better than the Bengals overall. They're not quite performing up to the level we thought they were after the first two games, but the Bengals are performing much worse than what we thought they were after the first game. So overall, there's not a chance the Bengals take this game on the road at that.
Not a chance at all. It's a divisional game.
I don't think there's any chance the Bengals win this.
Anything in the division, anything can happen. Browns beat the Ravens.
Yeah, but that's like saying the Bucks are going to beat the Jags are going to beat the Saints, or I guess that doesn't make sense. I was thinking the Bucks and the Saints, but the Bucks are playing the Panthers. But all right, disregard everything I just said. There's no way the Bengals are going to beat the Ravens.
Well, yeah, I tend to agree with that. Though one side, I'm going to pick the Ravens. One side, though, it's time for Ryan Finley to start. Really, it is time for Ryan Finley to start.
Yeah.
You are in contention for the number 1 overall pick next year, and if you get that pick, you want to have seen Ryan Finley before then, because if he ain't it, you're picking a quarterback. So it's time for him to start. You got nothing to lose. But don't kid yourself. The season's over. You have nothing to lose. Start your rookie. See what you got in him. If he's not it, you pick someone else. But no need to keep him down.
How many times in the past have we said, "Hey, it's time for AJ McCarron to start"? Clearly, Andy Dalton is not the guy. He's never, well, except for a couple years there, where they would make it to the first rounds of the playoffs and then get blown out. But
is Andy Dalton going to win? Is Andy Dalton going to end up winning in the NFL anymore?
No, never. And he never. I mean, yeah, he's made the playoffs a couple years in a row. Yeah. But other than that, He's never
But is he going to do that again? He's not going to do that again.
No,
that's
not
going to
anymore.
happen again.
No, those days are over.
That's over.
And he's never been on a trajectory.
You're going to have
to win the Super Bowl.
You're going to have a new quarterback starting next year, no matter what. And you got Ryan Finley in the house. Listen, I liked Ryan Finley when he came out of college. I thought he was really good. I had him pretty high. So they got him in a good spot in the draft. Play him. Just throw him out there. See what he can do. He's probably going to be at least as good as Dalton, or at least give you some like a breath of fresh air to the locker room. And if he's not it, you draft someone. But if he ends up being it, you might be able to trade that pick away for good value there. So yeah, start him like halfway through the season. Spot time to make that change. Nothing to lose for the Bengals, but they're going to lose this week at Baltimore.
Let me ask you this
Falcons.
real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick before we move on. Did you have Finley over Kyler Murray? I don't remember.
I did not know.
Oh, okay.
I had Drew Lock at 1, had Daniel Jones at 2, and I had Kyler Murray at 4 if I'm not mistaken. So I did not, but I like Ryan Finley. I do. Generally, the quarterback class wasn't the best.
No, it wasn't. Overall. It was deep, but not the best.
It was deep, but not very good compared to the one before. Like I said, if Baker Mayfield had been coming out this year, I would have had him my number 1. He would have been my number 1 overall quarterback.
Yeah, I can see that.
Last year he was 3rd/4th, kind of split with Josh Allen there. So that's just a difference in classes, and which is why I don't agree with the Kyler Murray pick, obviously, but that's the value currently on quarterbacks. But speaking of Kyler Murray, he's at home hosting your Falcons. How do you feel about that?
I don't feel good about this at all. I feel terrible about this. The Falcons' offense is still functioning. Matt Ryan is still producing at a high level. He's still clearing 300 yards a game.
Yeah.
But the defense can't stop anybody. They couldn't stop a runny nose. I mean, literally, I could find high school O-line that will run right through them. But that being said, I think the Falcons can pull this off. You know, if they're going to win another game this season, this is one of them. You know, I mean, we do have the Redskins coming up, so maybe, you know.
Yeah. That's true. Maybe Tampa Bay one time if you get lucky.
Yeah, we might have to be lucky for that this year. That's probably going to be like a 40-44 game or something, you know.
Maybe. I mean, that's the least entertaining.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Falcons on this one.
I'm going to actually agree. That feels like the 3rd or 4th time that I'm picking the Falcons this year, which I didn't even expect to.
I didn't either.
Yeah, Cardinals. Listen, they played their best game. Kyler Murray played his best game. They ended up winning. Against not very high competition, obviously, but they did. Now they're home. The Falcons are slightly better than their record would suggest. They're not very good. They're not competitive for the playoffs, I don't think. I bet obviously took the under on 10 wins, and I think that's looking pretty good.
Yeah, but they are right now.
They are not bottom of the barrel team. The Falcons are mediocrity is what they are this year. Yeah. And the Cardinals are, to me, I don't believe in the Cardinals at all. I think I'm going to agree with you there. Falcons are going to win it. And the Cardinals are going to have a tough year because that win against Cincinnati, I mean, that's not worth much, and it was actually closer than you wanted it to be anyway. Yeah. So going to go with the Falcons, and I think you're right. Now Cowboys and the Jets.
Sam Darnold's going to be back.
He's back.
Chris Herndon's going to be back, which is going to make this game interesting, more interesting than you would think that it would be. I'm not going with the Jets because I don't believe they're better than the Cowboys overall, even with Sam Darnold and Chris Herndon on the field. But I think this is going to be much more competitive than they have been these past, any time this year so far. And the Cowboys, you would
definitely think so.
Yeah, the Cowboys are not dominant like everyone thought they were going to be. So this will be closer than anyone expects, but I'm going with the Cowboys.
Gonna have to agree with that, but this is one of, like, if I could pick the result of one of the games, this will be it. I would absolutely, if I could wish for a result, I would take the Jets here. I really would like the Jets to win this. Of course, I do believe in Sam Darnold. I think he's good, but he's coming back several weeks with an illness, obviously, so he's not gonna be at 100%. Cowboys defense is much better than the Jets defense, especially with those injuries that they've been having on and off starting the season. And the Jets are obviously also 0-4. They're coming off a bye week, so they should be well rested. I mean, good luck to Sam Darnold. I hope he can do it. I hope the Jets can pull this off somehow and expose the Cowboys a bit more. Aaron Rodgers has definitely started that hype train, but I think I have to imagine that the Cowboys are going to win this, and people are still going to hype them up and think that they're a top team in the NFC, which to me they are not. And I think stronger, harder matchups later down the line in the season will reveal that. But for now, they should beat the Jets. Mm-hmm. Titans and Broncos.
Wow, this is tough. This really is. Speaking of mediocrity, Titans are in that tier right now. There we go. And they beat the Falcons, so what does that say for the Falcons? The Broncos, yeah. Can we believe that the Broncos are trending upward right now?
No.
No? What about Joe Flacco? He's looking better each game. I mean, he's doing, he's taking one tick up every game.
I don't think one win qualifies as a trend.
No, but does it make them competitive for the Titans?
Depends on who shows up.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of Titans team are we seeing? Are we seeing Week 1 Titans?
Oh yeah, if it was Week 1, then I'm definitely giving it to the Titans.
Oh yeah.
But if it's last week Titans, then I'm going with the Broncos. So that's what makes this so tough for me. Yeah. Obviously, Derrick Henry's going to run all over the Broncos because they can't stop the run for anything. For what do the Broncos have going? Cortland Sutton is amazing, and Joe Flacco's probably going to be able to connect with him downfield a few times, along with Manny Sanders. The Broncos are at home, and I'm going out on a limb. I know they're probably home. Not home favorites. The Titans are probably road favorites. Going with the Broncos. Let's see what happens. The Broncos, huh? Yeah.
I want to say there's a decent chance that by the time that this game starts, a couple of Broncos are not going to be on the team anymore. Because there's right now 3 prominent players on the trade block for the Denver Broncos: Emmanuel Sanders, Chris Harris, and Derek Wolfe.
Yes.
Which lets me know they're tanking. I mean, they are done. Not looking to trade Von Miller. But Bradley Chubb out for the season, most likely, with the ACL.
You're talking me out of this.
The year's old. No, you already made your pick. Your pick. I'm just explaining why I'm gonna pick Titans, which I do.
But
Titans offensive line by no means bad. Taylor Lewan in the lineup, and that Broncos defense is diminished, and
it is. It's horrible.
I honestly don't take much from that win. So Titans for me at Denver. Steelers and Chargers.
Well, this was brutal. I feel sorry for Mason Rudolph. He looked like he died on the field. That
was a classic. That was like a that looked like a boxing match, like a classic knockout.
Yeah, he took it right on the button.
Under the chin. Just blackout.
Yeah, and I felt even more sorry for him when they had him standing on the sideline with the helmet on, no face mask. He looked like
it looks like Charlie Brown with the pumpkin hat. Yeah,
looked like a special ed kid over there. So, third string quarterback starting for the Steelers. Chargers need to get something going. They're at home. Phillip Rivers is going to pull this one out. I'm going with the Chargers.
You would have to think so. I'm gonna agree with that there. Steelers cannot catch a break this year, and the Chargers have to keep winning games to compete for the AFC wildcard spot. This is an absolute must-win at home against a weak Steelers team. Definitely agree. Chargers take it. And finally, close it out Monday night. This is gonna be a surprisingly strong matchup. It's the Lions at the Packers.
You know what? This may be the closest of all the games now that I look at it. Chiefs and Texans are up there. But I think this might be the closest game of all. And this is...
It might.
Yeah, this is the hardest one for me to pick. Harder than the Texans Broncos. You know what? I think, man, they're both on a roll right now, though. And Stafford is looking really good. Aaron Rodgers is looking really good. Even though he's not super productive, but he doesn't have to be. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to win. And damn, their teams are both good right now. I'm going with the Packers because they're at home.
All right. Here's kind of my line of reasoning there. Mm-hmm. Matthew Stafford's doing good. Aaron Rodgers is doing really good. Mm-hmm. Now compare Matthew Stafford good to Aaron Rodgers good.
Yeah.
Should tell you most of what you need to know. And I like the point you made there. Aaron Rodgers, he's doing what he has to do to win right now. Mm-hmm. And what are the Packers doing? They're running the ball. Mm-hmm. They're playing defense. And they have Aaron Rodgers, a transcendental quarterback, in the mix in case they need him. But they don't ask him to do everything anymore. Mm-hmm. Sound familiar? That's what they haven't done in 15 years. That's the first time. The first time that's how the Patriots have been winning 6 Super Bowls over the last 20 years.
Exactly.
Exact method. Mm-hmm. That's what the only 2 undefeated teams are doing right now, Niners and the Patriots. They're running the ball. They're playing defense. They don't ask the quarterback to throw for 400 yards. They ask him to be a game manager. And that's all that they need to be. And we know that Aaron Rodgers is better as an individual than both of those guys. As a matter of fact, he's probably better than anyone except for maybe Patrick Mahomes as an individual quarterback. And if the Packers keep that up, the running game that they put on against the Cowboys, they're going to be for real. They're going to be for real. And I'm not taking away anything from the Lions. When I'm picking the Packers here on Monday night, it's a big stage. It's Aaron Rodgers, and it might not even have to be all Aaron Rodgers. So the Packers are gonna find a way to win this. They are the better team. They have the better players. Lions are gonna be good. Lions are gonna compete for a wild card. They're not gonna beat the Packers.
This might be the best.
And finally, I put this to the back. This is a Sunday night game, but I put it to the back. So it's the Niners and the Rams. The reason, honestly, that I put it to the back is because I got the NFL app open here, and they're the one team that I have starred, so it's sorted differently. It's not in the list with the other games, so I kind of skipped over it. But that's the last one we have to pick here. So what do you got?
Well, I'm done picking against the Niners. That defense looks legit to me.
It did.
Bosa's looking amazing, as everyone thought he would be. Garoppolo is kind of just doing what needs to be done. He's not doing anything bad. He's not doing anything spectacular, but he's doing what he needs to do to win. Just like we were talking about Aaron Rodgers just now. Yeah. The Rams, on the other hand, maybe have a touch of the Super Bowl hangover. And they're not playing up to par to where they should be for the talent they have. That sounds just like the Falcons, except the Falcons are even worse. But Todd Gurley, I don't know if he can run on this defensive line. Todd Gurley I think he's going to kick it into gear and become more and more productive as the season goes along. But I don't think he does it here.
I do agree with that. So you generally you spoke about all the talent that the Rams have, and yes, they've been underwhelming. Defense been underwhelming for the guys they have, Aaron Donald, and offense been underwhelming for not only the guys that they have, but the money that those guys make. That's, I think, the important numbers there. Todd Gurley got paid big money, Jared Goff got paid big money, and neither of those guys right now is living up to that money, and neither of those guys is looking like they're gonna live up to that big money. With Todd Gurley with his arthritic knee, and Jared Goff seems to be very much getting the answers to the test from Sean McVay. So I'm gonna pick the Niners. I'm gonna pick the undefeated team. I'm gonna pick my team. I think it makes sense. I think this is gonna be a huge game for both teams. Like for the Rams, this is a survival game because the Seahawks are currently looking better than the Rams, and they just lost to the Seahawks. The Rams have to win this game. If they lose this game, they're not going to win the division because Niners are walking away with it, and the Seahawks are still better than them. So this is going to be huge. Huge game for the Rams. They have to win it. I'm picking the Niners. Like you said, the defense is looking too good. The Niners defense legit is the second best in the league after the Patriots. And that run game is also, it's looking very strong. That's the formula to win. And I'm always, whenever there's Shanahan and McVay calling plays, I'm looking forward to that game. It should be spectacular. But I think with that defense, they've made a lot of people look stupid this year, and will hopefully and likely continue to do that. I'm going to pick them over the Rams. And moving on to 5-0 there. So how about this though? How is the chance that the Niners actually end up being the last undefeated team?
Well, man, I'd have to bring up the Pats schedule. It's possible. It's definitely possible.
It's possible, but I personally don't believe it at all. The Patriots have about the softest. The Patriots might have the softest schedule of the year, honestly. So, okay, Niners next week after this are playing the Redskins, which should be a win. That's not necessarily debate, but the Patriots, I believe, who do they play next week? Let me check that real quick.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up as we speak.
I think the Patriots generally don't have a very, very hard schedule. They're playing the Jets, they're playing at the Jets,
and then the Browns.
And the Browns, yes, right. The Browns have a tough schedule coming up. Seattle and the Browns and Patriots. 49ers are playing the Panthers next. So I don't believe it at all. But if the Niners were to win this game, they might go undefeated through like week 8. But the Patriots have a good shot at going undefeated until the Chiefs come by, and that's going to be the first and maybe the only challenging game in the regular season.
Well, it's not. There's this block right in the middle where they're facing the Ravens, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Texans. And then
Cowboys.
The Chiefs.
Cowboys is a win. Texans is also a win. Eagles, we'll see. Ravens, I need to see more. Eagles, I think, are the most serious contender. But to me, it's that Chiefs game. The Chiefs game is the most likely scenario where we will see a loss. But it also depends. It depends on that Patriots defense, because right now they're not losing to anyone.
They're very possibly going 16-0, looking at this entire schedule.
If they keep playing like this,
yes. The Bills, will be their toughest defensive test.
That's true, yes. And that'll be a low scoring game because the Patriots offense isn't looking good at all, honestly. And if it weren't for the defense, they would be flat out an average team because what they usually do best, which is the run game, hasn't really worked so far. They're diminished on the offensive line. Your center is out, your left tackle is banged up and out. You don't have the quality on the offense that you are used to having. Sonny Michel isn't having his best year. He's in a bit of a slump right now. So the Patriots offense isn't looking very good right now. But that being said, the defense is so strong that I don't see them losing any games because they're at no point are they going to give up more than 10 points to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. And now we know the Chiefs are not invincible.
We do, and the Colts they provided the blueprint on how to beat the Chiefs.
They did,
and I think Bill Belichick will take note, and of course Bill Belichick knows how to beat the Chiefs, which is keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, play defense, run the ball. Coincidentally, that happens to be what the Patriots do, but they have to start running better because the Colts ran the ball really well. I mean, Marlon
Mack did. Mack,
they ate up the entire clock. Like, they just would not let Mahomes get the ball. So minimize possessions of the aggressive vertical offense to give yourself the best shot. And the Colts did it in parading style. I mean, that was impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say I might actually have underestimated the Colts. I didn't think they were going to be competitive without Andrew Luck, but
I was on record saying that the Colts are not going to be as bad as everyone is saying they're going to be without Andrew Luck, and everyone included me.
Absolutely. So you did say that. I said they were going to be bad, we set the bet at 8-8. I took the under, you took the over.
Yeah.
Both are possible, but right now they look like they definitely have a chance to hit the over. Though I'm going to win both the Niners and the Falcons parts of that bet, so that it's going to equalize it at least.
Well, that remains to be seen.
Well, what remains to be seen? You think the Falcons are going to take that back? The Falcons might have lost. The Falcons might have lost that bet by week 8.
Hey, I've seen the Falcons win their first 5 games straight and still miss the playoffs at 8-8. So
yeah, with Kyle Shanahan, I think.
Yes, the inverse could happen for the Falcons. They could always run the table. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. And the 49ers, who has Kyle Shanahan, could get a little overconfident and start dropping games at any moment.
I mean, they could, but I think the usually the nature of the success right now, they're not a team that's going to ever fall off a cliff. Like, for example, the Packers were, or at least the Packers of the past, were falling off a cliff when Aaron Rodgers wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
If Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt and Nick Mullins had to come back in, 49ers would be slightly worse. They wouldn't be top 5.
Slightly,
they might be on the verge of top 10. Because Jimmy Garoppolo isn't the one that has to make the difference.
No,
he's not playing in that role. And by the way, 4 years ago, there were 3 quarterbacks in the Patriots roster. Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett.
Yes, and they're all balling out right now.
They're all playing just fine right now. And they're all playing that role right now, which is the role that they are best at playing. So, very clear profile on that there. And I think all 3 coaches, obviously Belichick, but the younger guys are doing a great job at recognizing that and making use of that.
Now, it didn't work for Brian Hoyer or Matt Castle. But
well, no, it didn't. You got to have someone.
Yeah. But it has worked for these 3, and they all happen to be on the same team together.
They are, of course, all above average talent-wise quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's enough. That's enough. They don't have to be Patrick Mahomes or Aaron
Brissett
Rodgers.
was a 3rd stringer.
He was.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That's true.
We've
Tom
seen
Brady was a 6th round pick.
We've seen 3rd stringers, ball out and have wonderful years. Case Keenum did it a few years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not unheard of, but it's definitely unusual.
It is, and but very clear, recognizable profile there in terms of quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So that making its mark on the rest of the league, coming out of New England there.
Oh yeah.
But while we're on the topic of the Falcons, though, we've seen Jake Gruden get fired by the Redskins. We've seen that's the first casualty of the coaching carousel, which seems to be almost a yearly phenomenon.
Oh yeah, it's that time of the season.
It's the time of the season, and you gotta be looking at the Falcons and thinking, could my guy be one of the next?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know that he's the very next one because I think they want to hold on to him more than the fans want them to hold on to him. Mr. Home Depot really likes Dan Quinn for some reason.
It's true.
I guess I get it. He has coached a defense that won the Super Bowl. He has coached the entire team that went to the Super Bowl and gave the Patriots hell for 3 quarters. But when he took over, of course, the defense wasn't lighting it up last season. 2 seasons ago, they were serviceable. They did really well, and the offense wasn't firing on all cylinders. Even in that Super Bowl, for 3 quarters, that defense was outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So you can kind of see how Arthur Blank feels. This guy has it in him to be a winner. He's done it in the past. But these past 2 seasons, he's fallen off a cliff. And his decision to take over as the OC when they fired Marquand Manuel was not the right decision.
Not a lot of coaches can do that stuff.
Yeah,
and not a lot of coaches. There is a few. There's actually several head coaches who also call the offensive plays in the NFL, but traditionally that's not what a lot of people do, and it's tough. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I would agree. He's he's got to be one of the candidates, especially if it keeps going that way. You're 1-6 right now. You're looking at the Cardinals. That's the game you have to win. If you lose that game, that's worse than your average loss within the division, for example, in terms of quality. So if you lose that game, you look at 1-5, and you're really going downhill. And he might just be one of the next guys up on the chopping block, depending on how that goes. But
I think
some other names thrown around, and a bit more controversial maybe. You hear about Freddie Kitchens. You hear about Cliff Kingsbury, which I don't believe, especially Kingsbury. I don't believe, but
way too early.
You hear Freddie Kitchens, and my sleeper. If we did a pick, if we had to predict, right? My sleeper coach firing of the year, bold prediction: Jason Garrett.
Really?
Yeah. If the Cowboys go 8-8.
You think Jerry Jones is like, I had enough? Well, man, they've called for his job for a few years now, though.
If the Cowboys go 8-8, Dak Prescott's gonna want $200 million regardless.
Yeah.
He might be out of here. He might.
Maybe so. Maybe this year will be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Because they better make the playoffs. They better make a run.
Here's what it is. Jerry Jones is unlike Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank puts the entire team in the hands of his head coach and general manager. Yeah. Jerry Jones doesn't do that. Jerry Jones wants to run that team. He is the Vince McMahon of the NFL. He wants to run that team. He wants to have complete control of it. And he wants a coach that's going to do what he's told when he's told. And I think Garrett does that for him. So I think that's why they've had such a hard time, the fans, that is, calling for his job and it's just not been successful. I think,
and they've kept him along. They've dragged him along for a while too. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: he's known his nickname literally is Coach 8-8 and Coach Clap.
He's
or Coach 500.
Yeah,
you don't earn those nicknames by lighting it up and making it to the NFC Championship game every year. Mm-hmm. So how much patience do you have? Because the Cowboys team is stacked.
It is.
I don't think that Prescott is in the elite tier of quarterbacks. He's not, but he's serviceable. He's in that
above the Dalton line.
Yeah, he's definitely above average. He's in that same zone as Brissett, Brady, Garoppolo, the game manager. He can make it happen. On a good, well-coached team, good defense, good running game, he is enough. He's serviceable. Zeke Elliott is a top 3 back in the league. You have a stout defense. You have great young linebackers. You have good pass rush. You have Amari Cooper now, one of the cleanest route running receivers in the league. Michael Gallup's becoming better. And your offensive line is traditionally one of the strongest in the league. Mm-hmm. You gotta win. You can't go 8-8 if you're looking that good. If you're that team, you have to. You have to make it almost, I want to say, to the NFC Championship game with that roster. And if you don't, that would be considered a failure. So he's going to be my sleeper candidate for coach firing for this year.
Yeah, I'll say it's very possible.
If stuff goes south, that might be it.
I don't think it's likely, but possible.
No, it's not likely.
Freddie Kitchens, though, that's interesting, right?
Freddie Kitchens is definitely interesting, and there's a lot of people whose jobs will end up being called for if the Browns season goes the way it's been going so far and heads down that path. Because you know how hyped up they were. AFC Championship game. They're going to make it to the Super Bowl in a year or two. They're going to be the most explosive offense in the league with all these weapons. And Kareem Hunt's coming back in November, and it's going to be crazy. So, not looking that way right now. And if the Browns go 8-8, or like even worse, 7-9, that's not it. That's not what you want. So, who are you going to blame that on?
That's the Browns' culture. I mean, we continually go under 500, and we fire our quarterbacks and coaches and start all over and do the exact same thing all over again.
Yeah.
Like, when does that cycle end?
What are you going to do? You go 8-8 this season. How are you going to improve? How are you going to go, okay, we're going to go from mediocrity to being a top team? What do you do? Like, who are you going to acquire? Julio Jones? Antonio Brown also? Like, what are you going to do? You're stacked.
Yeah, so, have a three
kind of like
three superstar receiver set out there, and everybody's fighting over.
You got to kind of win with what you have. So,
Yeah, maybe.
And you're not doing it right now.
Well, I was about to say maybe it's in their best interest to tone down on the superstars, but they've tried that also, and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
We saw Deshaun Kaiser play his heart out and get nowhere with that team.
Yeah.
Without a superstar wide receiver.
Yeah. Well, I've seen takes and I've thought about it myself, but how feasible is it to actually get rid of Odell?
I don't think it's feasible unless he wants out. Because
if he wants out, obviously. But right now, how many targets did he get last week? 6 or 6 or 7 targets the last couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah.
You have Odell Beckham. He's your second best receiver on your team. You have Kareem Hunt coming back. That's another weapon in November. David Njoku coming back next year.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to entertain that much? I can't help but think of that analogy that you have your Ferrari in a garage, but you drive it around like a Toyota Corolla. Because that's what Odell Beckham is. He's great, but he's not the focal point of this offense, and maybe he doesn't really fit in that offense as well as we thought, because you're not getting your money's worth out of the quality player that he is if he seriously is featured in an offense.
Which seems weird to me, though, because you have an air raid quarterback.
You do. It
seems weird to be
spread it around.
A run-first team.
Baker's been having troubles this year getting the ball out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I don't know how this happens. I really don't have an explanation for this, and because we talk about the sophomore slump, but that's just a saying, really. There's no real sensible science behind that, but he's looking worse. He's actively regressed from the way he played as a rookie last year. He played with more patience. He was calmer in the pocket. He made better reads. He had his eyes, his head moving in a more disciplined way. Right now, he's running around like a chicken. Like he's running around constantly under pressure, putting himself in bad situations, and he's throwing frankly terrible interceptions.
Yeah, dude. And on that note, I do believe in the sophomore slump. And it happens to running backs more than anyone. And, and of course there's no way to scientifically prove it. But statistics show. And it usually happens to superstar running backs on their second season. And we've seen it over and over.
It does, yeah. Statistically, it definitely does.
Mm-hmm. But, of course, it may just be a mental thing. It may just be something that happens, in the NFL. An intangible incident that just happens to a lot of running backs. But quarterbacks, we don't see it that much. I mean, where's Patrick Mahomes?
And quarterbacks, you would imagine for it to be the case the most, because they're the most heavily studied position on film, the most heavily prepared for a position by a defensive coordinator. So you've seen the full season, you might have faced the guy. You should now have a different approach to his game. Yeah,
I mean. Yeah, we're not seeing it with Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen's doing well. I think the Browns, Baker Mayfield, as good as he may actually be, it's just the team. It's the culture. There's an intangible aspect of the Browns that may always force them to be the Browns.
They're cursed, basically. That's what you're saying. They're cursed.
Well, and it may not be a curse if you don't want to believe in, the esoteric or the spiritual effect of it, but that it may be just the culture. It may be something mental. It might be like that sophomore slump that there's just
like for an entire team and like constantly.
Well. That's what we've seen, though, right?
That's what we have.
How many Heisman winners and first round for number 1 overall picks can they get without winning?
But that's the thing. That is my point in a way, sort of, because those Heisman number 1 guys, they're not really the best quarterbacks you want in professional football. Listen, I know I know Lincoln Riley is very good at producing stats. And I know he's very good at making college quarterbacks seem like pro quarterbacks, and he's very good at making Heisman winners and stat kings happen. And he's gonna make Jalen Hurd look really good, and he's gonna might even end up getting votes. And there might be the occasional insane person who wants him to go first overall next year.
Yeah, could be.
And and see, I just from intuition, right? If the Browns were somehow in that race, right? Say they didn't have a quarterback, the Browns would be the type of team to pick Jalen Hurts.
Yes, they would. That's a very Browns
the type of team to
do.
pick Jalen Hurts over Tua, and they were the type of team to pick Baker over Sam Darnold, to pick Baker over Josh Rosen, and they would have been the type of team to pick Kyler Murray over Drew Lock.
It almost seems like they don't watch college football. Like they just
I don't know.
go. Who's in New York for the Heisman event? Those guys. Let's get one of those guys.
Well, yeah. Lamar Jackson was. They didn't pick him.
Well, yeah, because he didn't win the year that he came out into the draft.
Probably. I don't trust stats. You do not trust college football stats. Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray. Until I'm proven wrong, case is closed. Mm-hmm. And there's other instances of that, by the way. So I'm not saying that Baker is terrible. He's not as good as he was touted to be. I never thought he was as good as he was touted to be coming out of college during the entire draft process during his first year, and he looked pretty good. A lot of people were high on him. And my conclusion of his first year was basically he did good. He did all right. And my biggest takeaways were if I don't hear his name during the off season, that's the most important part. He can play good. He can play well on the field. If I don't hear him, if I don't hear any shenanigans outside of actual on-field football from him, that's already the most important part. Which for the longest time we didn't, and it's definitely has tuned down. Now with the most recent game, there's some sort of some drama stuffs going on, which I frankly find insane that we're actually debating this sort of stuff on like NFL.com with the handshake and the flag stuff, and that's just how it is. But all those things are distractions when it comes down to it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Very much. Did I lose you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right,
I lost you for a second.
Sometimes the connection cuts out. That happens. But
all those things are distractions. Yes,
they're distractions, and I don't know how much I really like the Browns as a competitive football team this year. And if it comes down to culture, like you mentioned, culture isn't a thing that, or rarely a thing that just a new individual single-handedly brings into, or new hired individual brings into any given environment. You're not going to draft a quarterback to the Washington Redskins right now, no matter who he is, and expect him to bring a full culture change. Everything's great. You're not going to get the next head coach, no matter who it is, Jay Gruden, anyone else. No one's going to come in and change the culture of this whole thing by himself. It starts at the top. It starts with ownership. It starts with everyone in the building, setting the tone. So maybe there's a more fundamental issue to those kinds of organizations. Again, I'm not writing the Browns off of being doomed forever, obviously. They're still in the season. They still are in the race for their division because the Ravens have visibly regressed from their start. Their great 2-0 start in the beginning of Lamar Jackson, but I really don't like the direction that the Browns were heading, and I don't like the banter. I don't like the attitude that they're going into. When you just hear them, you listen to the press conferences. They've been talking. They've been politicians for too long. They've been talking about we got to do this better. We got to do this better. And they've been blaming the media. You got to see action. You're a stacked team. You got to start. You got to win games. And listen, you can lose games. You can lose close games. That Monday night game, you can lose that game. You can't get blown out like that. You can't have -2 fantasy points. You can't be swapped out halfway through the fourth quarter as a quarterback because you're about to have a nervous breakdown. And you can't call a lot of individual errors. Honestly, bad play calling. Because Have you seen the game? Have you seen the entire game, or like the sort of the highlights off of it?
I watched a good bit of it, and then the rest, I just watched a recap.
Two different types of play calling, two different philosophies of play calling. Mm-hmm. You see Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers, calling plays to win the football game. You see the Browns, Freddie Kitchens, calling plays to appease players. You're calling plays for Odell Beckham. He's standing on the sideline. I got to give Odell the ball. I got to give Jarvis the ball. I got to throw this to Callaway. He's coming back off of suspension. He's got to have one. I gotta let Baker do this and that. Meanwhile, on the other side, then you have, okay, this is what they're doing. This is what's open. We're gonna go there. We're gonna run the football until they stop us. We're gonna run those play actions. We're gonna run, and I like this, by the way. You know how the outside zone is a staple in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Obviously, you have a matchup of Justin School, your rookie left tackle, replacing Joe Staley with a broken leg, against Myles Garrett for the Browns. Mm-hmm. Almost every deep drop, 5-7 step drop, past Niners called, came off of an outside zone stretch play fake to the left or some similar style. Why? You're forcing the defensive end, just a little bit X's and O's, but you're forcing the defensive end who's assigned the outside contain to be taken, to be flushed out by the tackle, which makes it a lot easier to sort of disguise that bad matchup. And as the quarterback is going to boot back, he's rolling back by the zone fake and allowing your tackle to just kind of attack the inside shoulder and work around the end. You're creating a lot more distance between the actual point of attack for the defensive end, where he actually starts his pass rush, and the point of release for Jimmy there. So just small things that he's working towards actual matchups that are relevant for winning, while the Browns, they've called too much trickery, they've called too much fun stuff, they've called too much individual stuff, and then you got a lot of individual errors, obviously, a lot of things to improve, and we'll have to see. I mean, we can rant about them all week, all year, but they are in a position that they have to win games with the talent that they have.
So what if they did this? What if they went and got their own Lincoln Riley? If they got their own air raid coach,
like the actual Lincoln Riley, or someone who was like it.
I would like when Cliff Kingsbury came into the picture. I thought he was just the cheap knockoff of Lincoln Riley. That's who they want. Yeah. You know, that's who all these coaches want. You know. Well, if they can achieve that, they're going after anybody who's ever shook hands with Sean McVay. But, what if they were actually able to land Lincoln Riley? Do you think?
Not a fan. No. Not at all.
Could he at least get Baker to produce? I mean, he's done it before.
Well, yeah. I think no one can coach Baker better than Lincoln Riley. Mm-hmm. That is true. I've heard people say that Baker should, during the off season, during the summer, he should go to Oklahoma and get coached up by Lincoln Riley, and I find myself sort of agreeing, because Lincoln Riley got the best out of Baker Mayfield during his college career. No coach in the NFL has gotten the best out of Baker Mayfield so far, and right now he's playing anywhere but his best. And Freddie Kitchens seems to be not even close to getting him to play at his best.
Not at all.
So I understand how Lincoln Riley Baker Mayfield connection is probably the best for those individual people, but this is still the NFL. And,
it would work out for Odell as well.
It would, yes.
We saw Hollywood
bigger picture
Brian's.
though. It's not a professional offense. It's not a sustainable long-term pro style offense still.
No, and shotgun on every play at that.
And that bugs me quite a bit. That's why I don't think Cliff Kingsbury will be very successful, because you've seen. I mean, who's every guy who's ever shook hands with Sean McVay? Matt LaFleur is one of those guys. He's currently tearing it up in Green Bay. He's got the Packers playing better than they ever have under Aaron Rodgers, and that's all that he was before the season. So there's some kind of merit to that. Clearly, Kyle Shanahan undefeated. Sean McVay has been in the Super Bowl before age 40 as a coach. So they've got to be doing something right.
Not working out for the Bengals too well, though.
No, not just yet. But that roster is devoid. That roster is devoid of any talent.
Maybe they
that
didn't
roster
shake
is
hands,
sort of
though.
like
Maybe he just waved at him down the hallway.
Maybe that. Had a high five. No, but that roster is devoid of any talent. Sort of like the Niners were in year one of the Shanahan era. You can't expect anything to happen there. Give them 3 years. Give them 2 to 3 years. With a quarterback of the future. If that's Ryan Finley, I don't know. Is it Tua Tagovailoa? I don't know. Justin Herbert? We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
You find your quarterback. You build from there. You take a couple of years. What do you say?
Joe Burrow.
Maybe.
That seems like a Bengals guy, right? I wouldn't go with it if I was the head coach. I would get a more dynamic, running quarterback. Not no, a mobile.
I mean, you're number
quarterback.
one. If you're one, you draft Tua. If you're number one, you draft Tua. Unless Ryan Finley turns out to be the bomb in the back half of the season, in which case you're not going to be drafting one overall.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's in my opinion. That's what you do. Find your quarterback. Build around them. 2 to 3 years, the Bengals are going to be fine. 2 to 3 years, the Dolphins are going to be fine. Are the Browns going to be fine? The Cardinals? I think I give the Bengals and Dolphins a better shot to be good in 3 years than the Cardinals right now.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think Kyler just never actually puts it together? I know you've been hung up on his size, and I kind of agree with that, because this kid could just get run over one day and we don't see him play again.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just his size, even though I think a lot of people love to argue height. Basically, you hear people talk about height doesn't matter anymore for quarterbacks. That's preposterous. The fact that there's still how many exceptions to that rule? 2. And we all can name them, and we all know exactly that there's exactly 2 exceptions to the rule where small quarterbacks actually are performing well. Yes. And there's so many quarterbacks, hundreds of quarterbacks, walking in and out of the league, or cycling through the league.
Yeah.
At any given time. Those exceptions are there for a reason, because there's a huge rule, and that obviously I'm talking about Drew Brees and Russell Wilson.
Yeah. And, I was gonna say Russell Wilson and Doug Flutie, but
now. I mean like
current
right now.
Players.
Doug Flutie,
yes.
that's like one of the past examples there, obviously.
Yes.
But like right now, there's 2 of them at that level. So height to me very important for quarterbacks. Still, people like to scheme around or make it look like it's not, but it still is. But yes, I'm not a huge fan of Kyler Murray's. I think he was vastly overdrafted, more so than Baker Mayfield even. The Baker Mayfield is a better pro quarterback. I don't think neither of them is fantastic necessarily, highest potential sort of pro quarterback. Neither of them is the Andrew Luck, right? The Peyton Manning, the Tua, the Trevor Lawrence, the easy pick, right?
Yeah, the guy who can actually game manage as well as throw the ball downfield.
Exactly. The Aaron Rodgers. So those systems are always fishy to me, and those very college-ish systems, to me, I'm not so sure about it. And that's why all my eggs are in the Tua basket if I'm picking first overall, because a quarterback doesn't even come out of Alabama that much compared to other positions.
No.
And Alabama is the most professionally oriented team in college football, arguably, and has been for a while.
Yeah, the most similar to the Patriots. I mean, the similarities between Saban and Belichick are too many to count.
The way that they are being ran. So all my money's on Tua. He's great, and we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, we're not supposed to talk draft just yet. It's way too early. But I'm not a huge Baker fan. I think he can be serviceable, good starter. Kyler Murray, I still have serious doubts about. And I give the Josh Rosen Dolphins and the Ryan Finley Bengals, or Tua with either of those teams, and the Daniel Jones Giants a much better shot than the Cardinals and Kyler.
Wow!
And if it keeps going like that, the Browns. Because what else are you gonna do? I mean, I'm repeating myself, but what are you doing if you're the Browns?
Yeah,
you have the players, you have the roster, you're stacked, you have to win. There's no more rebuilding going on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on many levels there. I don't know that the Dolphins have a better chance at rebuilding and being successful than the Cardinals right now.
Oh yeah.
But if you look at their records, you know,
you wanna make a long-term bet. Who makes the playoffs first, Dolphins or Cardinals?
Oh wow, man, that's something. Yeah, I'll go with the Cardinals. I know.
I'll easily I'll take the Dolphins.
So we're basically saying Josh Rosen or Kyler Murray, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm not determining that it has to be Josh Rosen. If they draft first, they'll probably pick Tua.
Yeah. Well, if that happens, then yeah, I would not go with the Dolphins. I mean, I would not go with the Cardinals.
But Tua either way, what if the Cardinals pick first? What if the Cardinals pick first? Do they pick Tua?
That would be so messed up.
Imagine 3 years back to back. You can't really do that, right?
Who gets Kyler?
I don't know. But yeah, you can't really do it. That is too much draft capital wasted.
Yeah.
Obviously, you gotta hit on one of those guys. But yeah, that bet is on the table. Absolutely. I'll take the Dolphins to make the playoffs before the Cardinals ever will. And of course, I'm looking with one eye. I'm of course looking to the respective divisions and the difficulty level of that in the near to intermediate future. I'm taking the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins. So we can make up a deal there. And
yeah, we can do that. We can do that. I mean, you know, you do have the aspect that the Patriots are not going to be dominant forever. And I guess it's possible, but Brady will be gone very soon. If not this season, next season.
Unless Bill Belichick finds a way to clone himself or like make himself immortal or something.
Yeah,
it won't last forever. And don't get me wrong, as long as Belichick's coaching a team, they're going to be good, and they're probably going to be the best team in that division still, unless someone else really rises. We see the Bills sort of trying in the process. Yeah. We see the Jets have their quarterback; they're still rebuilding very much so for a year or two. They're going to be good, but the
what I was
over Cardinals. Yes,
what I was thinking is, as much as Belichick loves UGA players, there's a chance Jake Fromm ends up with the Patriots.
They already he has this guy already. He has this Jarrett Stidham already.
You think Jarrett Stidham's the guy?
Yeah, Jarrett Stidham is the guy. He's the guy.
Jarrett Stidham is Brian Hoyer Part 2.
No, he's the guy. Jarrett is the guy. And you know what? It does. Even if he was Brian Hoyer, say the Patriots go 15-1. If it was Brian Hoyer, they go like 13-3.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean,
because it's the Patriots. You don't need Jarrett Stidham to be Dan Marino.
Mm-hmm.
You just need him to be Alex Smith. You just need him to be Alex Smith.
And for all we know, Tom Brady has never been Dan Marino.
No, he never needed to be. That's the thing. He never needed to be.
Yeah.
And that allows the consistency. So that's that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've talked enough about that stuff. So predictions are on the table. Final thing though, again, one monster on the Rams on my side. As always, the insurance there. Gonna write that down, and we are gonna talk about that Dolphins and Cardinals bet, because that's an interesting one. It's of course a long-term one. We might look 5 years into the future until we have a decision on that, or longer potentially, depending on how those teams get stopped. But I am decently confident there. We can actually use this format more often if you want to. So with more of the sort of bottom feeder teams. I like to think that I have a pretty good instinct on which of those teams will actually have a chance to succeed long term, and
like the Jets,
which are more of a smokescreen. Jaguars. The Jaguars are tough. The Jaguars are tough to call. I'm going to tell you one who isn't going to. Steelers, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I might take the Dolphins to make the playoffs before Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah.
So, do you think they stick with Mason Rudolph after this season?
I don't know. But who else? I mean, you're not picking in the first round.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You traded that away for Minka Fitzpatrick, and you're still bad.
Yeah.
No AB, no Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger. he might come back for a year, but he's not going to be as good as he used to be in his prime. And the team around him, even with Ben Roethlisberger, you got shot out by teams.
Yeah.
Man, that's not for another day. Maybe we'll get back to the Steelers on another day. But
I feel bad for him.
I think that's enough for today. Thank you for watching, everybody. Drop a like on this video and obviously also on Smokey's. If you're on Beyond Football, go check out the Trash Talkers. Link to that in the description and on my channel page. On the Feature Channels tab, you can go check them out and leave them a like and subscribe to what they're doing. Vice versa, same thing. So if you're a Trash Talker from the Georgia guys, coming over to Beyond Football and then have a look at some of my content. Smokey, you got anything to add?
That'll be it for today, my man.
Alright, that was a long episode, but a lot of stuff to discuss. We're getting into the meat of the NFL season as the second quarter of the season's coming around. Got exciting matchups coming up this weekend, and we have a lot to talk about next week for sure. But until then, we'll see you then. So thank you for watching. Drop a like, and we're going to see you in the next one.
Definitely. Deuces.